In the quiet hours before dawn, when the moon hangs low over the rooftops of Nigeria, when the air becomes still not peaceful, but tense, that's when they say, you shouldn't be facing up. Some call it sleep paralysis. Others call it a warning. But in many parts of Nigeria, they don't just say it's a dream. They say, it's the spirits, reminding you that your soul can be seen. And once your soul is seen, it can be touched. Or taken. It was a Tuesday. The kind of Tuesday in Sango, where the sky glows red for no reason. And people lock their shops a little earlier than usual. His name was Ola. A 23-year-old student of mass communication. Freshly posted to Sango for his industrial attachment. He'd found a room to rent. Nothing fancy. A single mattress. One plastic chair. A small curtain covering the window. The landlady lived in the front compound. The neighbors minded their business. And the street outside had that typical Ogun State energy, part electricity, part generator, and part spiritual. Ola carrying a bag, entering his room. Setting up. Smiling at his phone. Lying flat on his back to test the mattress. Ola was the type to laugh at superstitions. He didn't believe in spirits. Or curses. Or juju. All movie things, he used to say. But on his third night in that room, something changed. Around 2 a.m., he woke up not because of a sound, but because of a feeling. A strange pressure in the air. Like the room was watching him. Ceiling fan turning slowly. Ola awake, eyes open, lying on his back. Confused, then tense. His eyes opened, but his body stayed still. He tried to move his arm. Nothing. He tried to scream. No sound. And that's when he saw it. A black hand knot is slowly descending from the ceiling. At first, he thought it was a shadow. But it moved, like it was reaching for his chest. His heart pounded. His ears rang. His breath became shallow. And then he remembered something his grandmother said. When you sleep facing up, the spirits see your soul before your body. That night, Ola didn't just wake up. He crossed into a room that wasn't fully his own anymore. And when the hand touched his chest, he blacked out. He woke up at sunrise. Drenched in sweat. The door still locked. The room still silent. But the mattress had shifted 5 inches to the right. Like it had been dragged. He tried to explain it away. Maybe a dream. Maybe stress. But that night, he didn't sleep on his back. He turned to the side. He kept the lights on. And he began asking questions. And the more he asked, the more the town whispered something strange. The morning after, Ola tried to laugh it off. Maybe I was dreaming, or just stressed, he told himself. But deep down, he knew, something had touched him. And it had weight. That day, he went about his routine. Cyber cafe. Check emails. Buy gala. Charge his phone at Mama Chinidu's kiosk. But when he returned that night, the room felt off. Not evil. Just, watched. Ola lies down. He tries to sleep sideways. The fan spins. Light flickers from the street. He sighs, turns onto his back. 11:42 p.m. He couldn't sleep sideways anymore. The angle hurt his neck. So he turned. Back on his spine. Eyes to the ceiling. And this time, he saw them. Not real ones, just faint impressions, like patterns in the cement paint. But the more he stared, the more they stared back. Ceiling patterns begin to morph into faint human-like forms. Eyes. Mouths. One face opens its eyes wide. He blinked. Rubbed his eyes. But they were still there. One of them had no eyes. Another had too many mouths. And in the center was a child's face. Smiling. He turned on the light. The faces vanished. Just cracks and ceiling paint. Nothing else. He stared for 20 minutes. Nothing moved. He turned the light off. And they were back. Waiting. He didn't sleep that night. He played music on his phone till dawn. But even with his eyes closed, he could feel the ceiling watching. Every blink was a risk. Every yawn felt like an invitation. By sunrise, Ola made a decision. He went to ask someone who would understand. Ola, walking through Sango, enters a dusty compound, greets an old woman on a wooden chair, head wrapped in a faded scarf. Her name, Mama Rafiat. Mama Rafiat. 83 years old. The one on the street called Aya Alagbra. The woman with eyes that see behind the veil. Ola sat beside her. Told her everything. From the hand, to the faces. She listened. She didn't laugh. She didn't interrupt. Then she said something he'd never forget. Speaks, you slept like someone ready to die. When you lie flat, face up, your chest opens. And if you're not spiritually covered, you become a gate. A gate. Not to heaven. Not even to hell. But to a place in between. A place where the forgotten things wait. And once they see you, they remember you. And once they remember you, they come back. Again. And again. And again. Ola walking back home slowly. Night falling again. Faces in windows. A soft whisper trails him as he walks. Ola didn't sleep that night. But he wasn't safe either. Because of the spirits he saw. Were not dreams. And they were not random. They had followed him home. The sky over Sango darkened faster than usual that evening. Ola walked home slowly. The air felt heavier than before, not because of rain, but because of something he couldn't name. It was like the street was holding its breath. Like something had already entered his room, before he even got there. He didn't turn on the light. Just stood at the door, watching the outline of the ceiling. He didn't see the faces this time. But he felt them hiding in the cracks, waiting for him to fall asleep. He didn't. Instead, he went to Mama Rafiat the next morning. She was already awake. Sitting outside on her carved wooden stool. Unbothered by the sun or the flies. Her eyes were sharp, clearer than anyone her age had a right to be. Ola greeted her respectfully, called her Mama, and sat down. He didn't even need to explain twice. She had heard enough from his face. She told him about the way the body rests, how every posture tells the spirit world something. Face down meant submission. Sideways meant neutrality. But facing up was openness. She said, when you sleep with your chest fully exposed to the sky, you are telling the world and the things beyond the world that you are unguarded. That your heart is ready. Not ready to rest. Ready to receive. Ola asked, receive what? And Mama Rafiat looked at him long and hard before she answered. Visitors. He laughed nervously, but she didn't smile. She told him that back in the old days, elders would never let children sleep on their backs. Especially those born with strong spiritual markings, those who talk in their sleep, those who dream in languages they've never learned. Because when they did, things began to notice. Things from the realm between sleep and waking. The Agbo Orin. She leaned closer and whispered, there are spirits that drift, looking for open gates. Sleep is a gate. Some people's sleep is locked. Others, leave it wide open. Ola sat still. The wind shifted. She told him the story of a boy in her compound, 40 years ago, who used to sleep with his arms crossed over his chest. No one taught him that. But every time he did, the dogs would cry at night. Until one morning, they found the boy frozen, eyes wide, face toward the ceiling. His lips were dry. His hands were still crossed. But his soul, gone. The elders said he had been visited. And once visited, the gate never really closes again. Ola asked if it was just stories. If this was something he could pray away. He asked if maybe he just had sleep paralysis. Mama Rafiat didn't answer that. She only said one thing. If the faces knew your name the first night, you are already known. He left her compound in silence. On the way home, he stopped to buy bread. His hand trembled as he held Z money. The shopkeeper looked at him strangely and asked if he was okay. He lied and said yes. But even then, he could feel the pressure in the air around him. The way shadows seemed to stretch a little longer than they should. The way dogs barked before he passed, then went quiet just after. He remembered Mama's words. You are already known. And that night, even though he lay sideways, he still saw the ceiling. Not the faces this time. Just the ceiling. But somehow, it was worse. Because now, it was smiling. Ola stopped sleeping entirely. By the fourth night, his eyes were bloodshot. His thoughts were scattered. Time began to blur. He drank Gary like water. Bathed late. Stared at corners. He'd look at his reflection and feel like he wasn't alone in the mirror. One night, while sitting in the dark with only his phone light on, he began to record a voice note. I just want to say, if anything happens to me, it started with the ceiling. He deleted it after 30 seconds. But something had already heard it. That night, he fell asleep without realizing it. His head was tilted against the wall. His mouth slightly open. Not fully lying down, but not sitting either. A strange in-between posture. And that's all it needed. It found the gap. He was dreaming. But it didn't feel like a dream. It felt realer than his waking life. He was in a long corridor, smooth cement walls, dimly lit by a flickering bulb that hung too low. The ceiling above him again was breathing. Literally moving up and down like a lung. And then the sound came. Slow, scraping. Something was crawling on the ceiling. Slowly, steadily. He didn't want to look, but he couldn't help it. The face came down again, but this time, it wasn't just a face. It was a body. A long, thin shadow of a woman, hanging upside down. Her arms were stretched unnaturally wide. Her face was veiled in hair. And she whispered. Let me in. He screamed, but no sound came. He tried to run, but the floor became soft like water. He sank. Her voice followed. Let me in. He woke up. Soaked. Shaking. Silent. The ceiling above him. Cracked, for real. A long, dry fracture running from corner to center right where the face had dropped in the dream. The door was still locked. But somehow, something had entered. The next day, Ol walked to the main road in silence. He crossed into an unfamiliar part of Sango. Somewhere deeper. Fewer houses. More trees. The old road split into gravel. He didn't even know why he was going there, only that he needed answers. He ended up at a small mosque. Not because he was particularly religious, but because dreams had turned into prayers. Inside, an older man sat on a mat, eyes closed. Ol explained everything. The man said very little. But after listening, he gave Ol one name. Okoeku. It meant, husband of death. He said that in Yoruba lore, sometimes the spirit world chooses people not to harm them, but to mark them. Some people are born with open gates. Some people accidentally open them. But some are chosen. They're made into pathways. Doors. And the spirit, the woman in the ceiling, was not random. She was not a ghost. She was a collector. A being that wanders at night looking for souls that hover too close to the edge. She finds them when they sleep upward, chest out, soul exposed. Once she enters once, she doesn't leave. Unless someone takes her place. Ola asked, trembling, so how do I stop her? The man only said, you don't. You survive her. Mama Rafiat agreed to help him. But she warned him, rituals don't stop spirits like her. They only confuse them. Distract them long enough for you to close the gate. And once a gate is opened by desire, fear, pain, heartbreak, obsession, it never closes clean. They began at midnight. A mirror was placed on the floor, facing up. A bowl of river water. Black soap. A coil of white cloth. And a candle lit with fire from an old kerosene lantern, not matches. Ola was told to undress and sit cross-legged over the mirror, but not to look into it. Whatever he saw in the reflection, he must not look back at it. No matter what it says. Mama Rafiat sat behind him, chanting softly. For 10 minutes, there was nothing. Then, the mirror fogged. He didn't breathe. He heard something speak. Olher. It was his mother's voice. But his mother was in Lagos. Olher, you can't fight this. Just lie back, and let me in. His body started trembling. The candle flame bent sideways like it was pulled by wind. But there was no wind. The water bowl bubbled. Mama Rafiat stopped chanting and said one thing. Now. He reached for the black soap. Rubbed it over his chest, heart first. The mirror cracked. And the room went dark. When the light returned, the floor was wet. The mirror was shattered. The candle was out. And the ceiling? The crack had sealed. Olher didn't speak for 2 days after that. But he slept. Sideways. Always sideways. He had packed everything. The bag was zipped, the mattress folded, even the cup he never used was upside down, drying on the cracked windowsill. For the first time in 3 weeks, Olher felt like he could breathe, like the room no longer had a grip on him. The sun had gone down, but there was still light in the sky, a kind of orange glow that made everything in Sango look like it had been dusted in gold. From his window, he could see kids kicking a flat football in the dirt street, women sweeping in front of their doors, and a man selling puff-puff under a broken umbrella. Normal things. Life things. He was ready to leave. But there was one problem. The driver he booked to pick him up, Kazim, his uncle's friend, had just called to say he couldn't make it until early morning. There was traffic on Lagos-Abeokuta Road, he'd said. I go reach around 5:30 a.m. make you no vex. Olher had swallowed his fear and said, okay. But when he ended the call, he just sat there. Staring at his bag. At the mattress. At the sealed crack in the ceiling. And then something occurred to him, something small but unsettling. The room didn't look like he was leaving. It looked like it was waiting. The hours dragged. He lit his rechargeable lamp but left the bulb off. Every shadow now makes him blink twice. Even the soft swing of the curtain gave him chills. He tried to read old messages on his phone, but the screen felt too bright, too loud. At 10:47 p.m., the power cut off. The fan slowed. The room stopped moving. He stared at the ceiling, heart starting to race, until the lamp flickered once. Then again. Then died. Darkness. And that's when it happened. A soft voice. Outside the door. Whispering. Calling his name. Not in a shout. In a murmur, a voice that sounded like it was remembering him from a dream it didn't want to forget. Ola. He didn't move. Didn't breathe. The voice didn't call again. It just lingered. Like perfume that had no source. He got up slowly, opened his phone light, and tiptoed to the door. Nothing. No shadows under the crack. No footsteps. No breeze. Just silence. He turned around. The curtain was open. He hadn't touched it. His mouth dried instantly. And then, for a split second he saw her. Not full. Not clear. Just a silhouette in the window glass. A reflection with no source. She wasn't outside. She was inside the reflection. Watching. Smiling. He blinked, and she was gone. He backed away, heart hammering against his ribs. He clutched the backpack. Opened the zipper. Pulled out the black soap. Rubbed it across his chest again, over and over until his skin started to burn. He didn't care. He sat on the floor in the corner. Facing the door. Keeping his back to the room. But something inside him knew, it wasn't the window. It wasn't the door. It was the ceiling. He hadn't looked at it since dusk. But it had been looking at him. He texted Mama Rafiat. "Ma, I'm scared. I don't think I can stay here tonight." No reply. He texted again. Still no reply. He tried to call. The line was dead. He checked his data, full bars. Yet the call refused to go through. The moment you can't call for help, that's when you know it's already begun. He tried to distract himself. Played a voice note from his cousin in Lagos. Anything to drown out the silence. Then, from the wall behind him, a single knock. He turned slowly. Put his ear to the wall. Nothing. Then another knock. This time, from the opposite wall. Then the floor. Then the ceiling. And this time, it didn't stop. Soft, rhythmic, unhurried. Like someone walking on all fours, above him. Pacing. Waiting. He fell to his knees and began to pray. Loudly. Even mixing his words. Half Yoruba. Half English. Everything he could remember from childhood. But then, a smell. Palm oil. Smoke. And, something rotting. It leaked from the ceiling. Not liquid. Just scent. And then the whisper returned. Inside the room. This time. Close. Very close. Face up, Ola. He screamed. Threw his lamp at the ceiling. It bounced. No effect. The voice spoke again. Face up, and I'll leave you. He shook his head. No. You can't enter. Silence. Then laughter, soft, choking laughter, like someone trying to hold it in, but failing. You already opened the gate. Ola stood. Eyes full of rage and fear and confusion and defiance. Then take me, he shouted. If I'm marked, come now. Let's end it tonight. The air froze. The room tilted. Not physically, spiritually. It felt like the world had leaned to one side. And from the ceiling, the crack reopened. Wider. Slower. Thirstier. Silent. The knock stopped. The ceiling stopped. Even his heart for one terrifying moment felt like it paused. Then, reality folded. Not like a blackout. Not like fainting. More like blinking, except when he opened his eyes, he wasn't in his room anymore. He was still in the same posture. Kneeling. Hands clenched. Chest pounding. But the room was cleaner. Too clean. The floor, smooth. Shining like it had just been mopped with palm fronds and perfume. The mattress, brand new. White sheets, untouched. No folds. No wrinkles. The curtain, golden flowing, like silk hanging in the palace of an Oba. The ceiling, perfect. No crack. Just a flawless, painted white dome, with carvings in it. But he didn't recognize the carvings. Yoruba? No. Arabic? No. Older. Like symbols made before language. And in the center, a mirror. Not a light bulb. A round mirror, embedded into the ceiling, angled downward, and inside it. He saw himself. Lying on the mattress. But he wasn't moving. He was face up. Eyes wide open. Unblinking. Staring straight at the ceiling. Ola screamed. But the scream didn't come from his mouth. It came from the reflection. The version of himself lying on the bed began to convulse violently. The mattress shook. The eyes rolled back. The mouth opened wider than humanly possible, as if something was pulling itself out of him. Or into him. He turned away. Then something shifted. The curtain rustled. From behind it, feet appeared. But not walking. Floating. A woman emerged, barefoot. Hair long and stringy. Her skin looked like it was stretched over something too large. Her eyes were hollow, but not blind, they saw everything. She didn't speak. She just hovered in place. Ola whispered, "Where am I?" She tilted her head. "You are in the room," you offered. "I didn't offer anything." "You did," she interrupted. "The night you slept with your chest open. Your soul drifted. And we noticed." She stepped forward. Her feet didn't touch the ground. The room felt hot and freezing at the same time. His vision blurred. His thoughts twisted. "You were born in blood," she said. Ola blinked. "What?" "You don't remember," she continued. "But your mother nearly died giving birth to you. You came out silent. Lifeless. The midwife placed you on the mat and began to cry. But your grandmother whispered into your ear." She leaned close, her breath icy and sharp. She said, "Bring him back." Ola's knees buckled. "How do you know that?" "She made a bargain," the woman whispered. "Not with me. With the gatekeepers. And they returned you. But not untouched." Ola's chest tightened. "You've been a doorway since birth. Marked. Watched. Protected only by the rituals your mother and grandmother performed." She reached up toward the mirror on the ceiling. And it began to crack. "You stopped the rituals, Ola." He shook his head. "I didn't know." "You forgot," she snapped. "But we didn't." The reflection of himself on the bed began to rise, like it was levitating. Ola looked up, the reflection was smiling. Smiling with his own face. But the eyes weren't his. They were hers. He turned to run. The door appeared behind him. He grabbed the handle. Pulled. It wouldn't open. He pulled harder. Then it opened inward, but not to the street. To another room. His childhood bedroom. The TV was on. His old slippers beside the bed. His mother's voice is calling from the kitchen. "Ola, food is ready." Tears filled his eyes. He stepped in. But the moment he crossed the doorframe, everything melted. The slippers twisted into broken sandals. The TV grew limbs. The voice changed, from his mother's soft warmth, to the spirit woman's rasp. "Come back, Ola. Lie down. Just for a moment. That's all I need." He screamed. The room shattered like glass. And suddenly, he was back. Same posture. Same corner. Same bag. Same mattress. But now, the crack in the ceiling was massive. Split open like a wound. And from it, she was descending. She came down from the ceiling like a thread unraveling. Silent. Smooth. Inevitable. Her limbs hung like ropes. Her feet never touched the floor. Her fingers floated behind her as if pulled by invisible strings. And her face. It wasn't angry. It wasn't violent. It was gentle. That was the worst part. She didn't come like a monster. She came like a mother welcoming a son. Ola pressed his back to the wall. His hand clenched the black soap again, but it was crumbling, dry and useless now. The candle from the last ritual had gone cold. The curtain fluttered one last time, then froze midair. Time didn't stop. It bent. Her voice was softer now. Almost kind. Lie down, Ola. Just one last time. Let the gateway open. I'll take your burden. He shook his head, trembling. You want to take my body? She smiled. No. Your permission. He shouted, I never gave it. Her smile deepened. You didn't have to. You invited me, the night you turned your chest to the sky and called out in fear. Fear is an open door. She moved closer. Closer. The air got heavy, like he was breathing through water. I won't let you in, he whispered. Her face twitched. Not anger, disappointment. You can't close what your blood already opened. And then from the ceiling the mirror from the dream appeared again. But this time it wasn't a reflection. It was a memory. His grandmother's face. Sweating. Crying. Holding a newborn wrapped in cloth. Whispering ancient words into his ears. She wasn't praying. She was promising. Keep him, she said. But spare his soul. Ola fell to his knees. Tears burned down his cheeks. You lied to me, he said aloud to no one. To everyone. The spirit hovered above him. She bargained for your breath, the spirit said. And now. I've come for what remains. He bowed his head. He was tired. He had run for nights. Begged. Fought. Slept with soap and scripture under his pillow. He couldn't live like this anymore, fearing his own sleep. His knees gave out. His body leaned back. His back touched the mattress. And for the first time since the first night, he lay flat. Face upward. Chest open. The spirit smiled, descending slowly, arms outstretched. But just before she touched him, a voice. Soft. Powerful. Inside his head. Ola, get up. His eyes shot open. It wasn't the spirit. It wasn't his grandmother. It was his own voice. Stronger. Older. Like a version of himself he hadn't become yet. Get up. The spirit hesitated. Confused. And Ola remembered something. Something Mama Rafiat told him after the ritual. Rituals don't stop spirits like her. But names do. True names. He sat up. Not slowly. With force. And he shouted. I am not your gateway. The room shook. The mirror above cracked again, this time from the outside in. The spirit screamed, not a loud scream, a wounded, shrinking sound, like air being sucked out of a dying flame. Ola stood fully now, his chest rising. And he said the only thing he could think of. I reject you, in the name of the one who brought me back. The candle relit. The ceiling is sealed. And the room, exhaled. She was gone. The clock read 4:59 a.m. His phone buzzed. Kazim had arrived. He didn't say goodbye to the room. He didn't turn around. He threw his bag in the back seat and told the driver, "Go. Just go." They drove in silence. Sango disappeared behind them. Dawn broke over the sky. And Ola, for the first time in weeks, closed his eyes. Not to sleep, but to rest. On his side. Always on his side. Thank you for watching, fam. Love you all.